Almighty God, we pray for your blessing upon this council. Help and prosper its work for the advancement and benefit of its people, so that peace and happiness, unity and justice may be established amongst us all. Amen. Manningham Council acknowledges the Wurundjeri Wurrung people as the traditional owners of the land and waterways now known as Manningham. Council pays respects to elders past, present and emerging, and values the ongoing contribution to enrich and appreciate the cultural heritage of Manningham. Council acknowledges and respects Australia's First Peoples as traditional owners of lands and waterways across country and encourages reconciliation between all. Manningham Council also values the contribution made to Manningham over the years of people of diverse backgrounds and cultures. I welcome all members of the public who have joined us in person and online to observe tonight's proceedings. I would like to advise that tonight's meeting is being audio and video recorded. All care will be taken to maintain your privacy. However, as a visitor in the public gallery, your presence may be recorded. By remaining in the gallery, it is assumed your consent is given if your voice and/or image is broadcast by Council. No additional recording of the meeting is permitted without Council's consent. That includes both audio and/or video. Council meetings are conducted in accordance with the governance rules. I will introduce each item of business as listed on the agenda, calling it by number and by reading the title. I will then call for a mover and a seconder of a motion on the item before opening any debate. Only councillors can join the debate on an item. Councillors may adopt officers' recommendation in the report or propose amendments and supplementary motions. I would like you to draw your attention to item number 7 on tonight's agenda. Public question time provides people with an opportunity to ask questions of the Council. Council has allocated 30 minutes for question time, and the process for public question time is set out in our governance rules. Questions must be received prior to the start of the meeting to be asked. Where we receive advance notice of a question in accordance with our governance rules, we will provide a verbal response to the question at our meeting. Questions we receive just prior to the meeting may be taken on notice if we don't have the information available to provide a meaningful response. If this happens, we will provide you with a written response to your question within 10 working days. Our governance rules provide that we deal with a maximum of 2 questions per person and up to 4 questions on any one issue. These rules will be enforced to ensure a broad range of topics and perspectives can be heard during question time. When it is your turn to ask a question, I will ask you to come forward to the lectern in the gallery. After you ask your question, you will have 2 minutes to make a brief statement. If you have more than 2 questions, please submit these additional questions in writing to Council through the normal channels. To ensure the efficient conduct of our meeting and maximum participation during question time, all questions and answers shall be as brief as possible and no discussion will be entered into. Councillors and the gallery are reminded that question time is to be conducted in a respectful manner, having consideration to the diverse views of those present. Any disorderly conduct will be managed in accordance with our governance rules. Item number 2, apologies and requests for leave. There are no apologies. Councillors, are there any requests for leave of absence? I'll take that as no, thank you. Item number 3, prior notification of conflict of interest. Councillors, I have received prior notifications of conflict of interest from Councillor El Taha, Councillor Diamante and Councillor Main.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors, I have submitted a written disclosure of conflict of interest form to the CEO for confidential item 12.1, contract award for construction of the Aquarena project. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor El Taha.
Mr Mayor and councillors, I've submitted a written disclosure of conflict of interest form to the CEO for item 13.2, draft state and federal elections councillor candidature policy, as I am seeking Liberal Party pre-selection ahead of the state election this year. I will lead the meeting prior to consideration of item 13.2.
Thank you, Councillor Diamante.
Councillors, I have submitted a written disclosure of a conflict of interest form to the CEO for confidential item 17.1. My interest in this item is a general conflict of interest, as I have recently been employed by a consultancy firm that is mentioned in the report. I will leave the meeting prior to consideration of item 17.1.
Thank you, Councillor. Item 4, confirmation of minutes. Can I have a mover, please?
Mr Mayor, I move that the minutes of the council meeting held on the 9th of December 2025 be confirmed.
Thank you, Councillor Bain. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Conlon. Councillor Bain, would you like to speak on the motion?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Conlon, would you like to speak on the motion? I'll put the motion forward. All in favour? Unanimous. Item 5, presentations. Item 5.1, Australia Day Honours 2026. Councillors, on behalf of Council, I would like to acknowledge and congratulate the following Manningham residents who received an award in this year's Australia Day Honours. Member of the Order of Australia, AM in the General Division, the Honourable Bruce Atkinson for significant services to the Parliament of Victoria and the Eastern Metropolitan Region, and the Medal of Honour of Australia, OAM in the General Division, Mr Gerard O'Donnell for services to the community through a range of organisations. And an honourable mention to Maroondah resident, Mr Robert Edwards for services to a range of organisations, particularly within the Manningham community. So congratulations to them all. Item 5.2, Winter Olympics silver medalist, Scotty James. Councillors, on behalf of Council, I would like to acknowledge and congratulate Warrandyte-born Scotty James, who recently won the silver medal in the men's snowboard halfpipe finals at the Milano Cortina 2026 Olympic Games. Scotty is now Australia's most decorated male Winter Olympian, having won bronze Pyeongchang and silver in Beijing. We congratulate Scotty on this amazing achievement. Well done, Scotty. Item 5.3, motion of condolences, passing of Anne Henry. Councillors, it is with deep sadness that I must inform you of the recent passing of Miss Anne Henry. Anne was a highly respected community member and life member of the Doncaster Hockey Club. Anne was a founding member of the club in 1974 and played an important role in its growth and success over many decades. Her commitment and passion and generosity of spirit helped shape the club into what it is today, and dedicated more than 50 years to volunteering, leaving a lasting impact on the Doncaster Hockey Club and the wider Manningham community. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Conlon. Can I have a seconder, please?
I second the motion. Thank you,
Councillor Bain. Councillor Conlon, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you. Yes, I'd like to move that Council place on record its sadness at the recent passing of Miss Anne Henry. We also record its appreciation for the contribution by Miss Anne Henry to the Manningham community, and we extend our sympathies and condolences to Miss Anne Henry's family during this difficult time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Conlon. Can I put the motion? All in favour? Unanimous. Item 5.4, motion of condolence, the passing of Amelia Joan van Houten, OAM. Councillors, again, it is with deep sadness that I must inform you of the recent passing of Amelia Joan van Houten, OAM. Amelia received a Medal of the Order of Australia, OAM, in 1998 for her services to the Doncaster community and particularly for her work with the Doncaster Pocket Theatre. She was a true champion of the arts, sharing her passion generously and helping to nurture a welcoming, creative community for people of all ages. Can I have a mover, please?
I move that we place on record, that Council place on record its sadness at the recent passing of Miss Amelia van Houten, records appreciation for the contribution to Miss Amelia van Houten to the Manningham community, and extend its sympathies and condolences to Miss Amelia van Houten's family during this difficult time.
Thank you, Councillor Main. Can I have a seconder, please?
I second the
Councillor
motion.
Altaha. I'll put that motion. All in favour? Unanimous. 5.5, motion of condolence, the passing of Sue Adams. Councillors, it is with deep sadness again that I must inform you of the recent passing of Sue Adams. Sue made a significant contribution to the Manningham community through nearly 40 years of service in scouting, particularly through her leadership of the Manningham Tenderbeck Scouts Group and her commitment to inclusive opportunities for young people with disabilities. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Diamante.
I move that Council place on record its sadness at the recent passing of Miss Sue Adams, record its appreciation for the contribution by Miss Sue Adams to the Manningham community, and extend its sympathy and condolences to Miss Sue Adams' family during this difficult time.
Thank you, Councillor. Can I have a seconder, please?
I
Councillor
second
Lang.
the motion,
Thank you.
Mr Mayor.
Would anyone like to speak to this motion?
Thank you,
Councillor
Mr. Mayor.
Diamante.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight we've already heard about the beautiful people and volunteers that have given their time to make Manningham a better place to live, work and play. And Sue is another example of one of these great people. Sue has absolutely left a legacy at the Tenderbeck Scout Hall in Doncaster. With her commitment to inclusive opportunities for young people with disabilities, she was a mother, a strong mother to her 3 children, and also a wise mother figure to many of the scouting world. I also understand, Mr. Mayor, that she was to graduate this year with a Master's in Disability, and it demonstrates her commitment to people with disabilities. I'm sure she's so pleased to know that at the Tenderbeck Scout Hall, we have the All Abilities Discos that are organised through Rotary every month, and her legacy is alive and well. So I would like to pass my condolences to the scouting community and to Miss Adams' family and friends.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Lang, did you want to speak to the commission?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Nathan.
May they all rest in peace. Item number 6, petitions. 6.1. Oh, my apologies. Councillors, we need to vote on that motion. Can I put the motion, please? All in favour? Motion carried unanimously. Now we'll move to item 6, petitions. 6.1. Councillors, we have received one petition for tabling tonight. The petition is Save the Warrandyte Scout Hall. Do I have a mover? Councillor Lang.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I move that the petition with 1,611 signatories regarding the Warrandyte Scout Hall be received and referred to officers conducting the Warrandyte Community Facilities Review for inclusion and consideration as part of the review. Council notes that the Warrandyte Community Facilities Review is ongoing and no decisions have been made to date.
Thank you, Councillor. Can I have a seconder, please?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Altaha. I will now put that motion.
I wish to
Oh,
speak
you wish to
to that,
speak? Thank
Mr
you.
Mayor.
Councillor
Thank
Lang,
you.
would you like to speak to the motion? My
Thanks.
apologies.
Thank you. Councillors, you might be aware that the Warrandyte Scout Hall has been part of the Warrandyte community since 1957, and the current Scout Hall began in the early 50s. The hall was funded and built by the community members and has been their official home of the first Warrandyte Scouts group, as well as being used by many other community groups, which is why you would see that there is 1,111 signatures. The Warrandyte Scout Group has communicated through the Warrandyte Facilities Review that they require a designated building suitable for scouting, and they've also been concerned about, in the future, what might happen to their hall. I just wanted to ask officers if they could please confirm if the Warrandyte Scout Hall is owned by Scouts Victoria, and also if I could please confirm that the Warrandyte Scout Hall is being reviewed and the submissions received in terms of the Warrandyte facilities reviewed as part of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lang. Councillor Altaha, would you like to make a motion? The question's been put and... So we'll refer that to Andrew McMaster, Director of Connected Communities.
Thank you, Mayor, through you, and thank you, Councillor, for your question. I can confirm that the land on which the Warrandyte Scouts Hall is built is council land. However, the building is the property of Scouts Victoria. We have received 38 submissions in total from community members in Warrandyte for the Warrandyte Facilities Community Review. That includes one from the Warrandyte Scouts. Our officers are taking the time to review those submissions in detail, given some of them are quite detailed, which is really terrific. So given the significance of that community input, we are taking our time to understand those community concerns that have been raised as part of the process. You're correct in saying that at this stage, no decisions have been made, and we will be in touch with all submitters, including the Scout group, on next steps following our review of all of those submissions which have been received.
Thank you, Andrew. Okay. Councillor Tucker, would you like to speak to the motion? No? Thank you. Okay. Can I now move the motion? Those in favour? And that's unanimous. Item number 7, question time, public question time. We have received several questions tonight for tonight's council meeting. Anyone who has registered a question with council will have the opportunity to read out their questions or choose to have their question read out by the CEO. I will call upon those who have registered their questions to come forward to the lectern in the gallery. Our first question tonight comes from Graham Wallace. Graham, you're not in the gallery? No. So as Graham is not present tonight, I will ask the CEO to read the questions on his behalf.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the questions, Mr. Wallace. So these questions, just for context, are in relation to the recent Manningham Chinese New Year Festival at Jackson's Court. And question 1 is, what parking strategy did Council have in place to address any proposed parking issues that could arise? Please provide a copy of that strategy. And question 2 is, how many parking infringement notices were issued to cars parking in Elizabeth Street between Ross Street and Doncaster Street on the 7th of Feb 2026? If none, why? So it's a bit of a double banger. If there were a number, then is Council proposing to return 50% of the income gained from these infringements to the residents of Elizabeth Street? If none was obtained, how is Council going to compensate residents for their inconvenience?
Thank you for the questions, Graham Wallace. I'll refer to both questions to Stuart Martin, Acting Director of City Planning and Livability.
Thank you for the question. Manningham Council permits and supports numerous community events throughout the year and takes a proactive approach to address identified issues such as parking congestion and illegally parked vehicles. Measures were implemented to reduce the parking demand and congestion around Jackson Court. Manningham promoted a free parking option at the Civic Centre car park and operated a free commuter bus service between the car park and the festival site at Jackson Court throughout the day. Event traffic management was implemented to ensure the safety of attendees and road users. Traffic controllers were deployed at the Doncaster Reserve and several surrounding streets to assist with directing vehicles and alleviating congestion. Council's parking enforcement officers proactively patrolled the event and took appropriate enforcement action in relation to vehicles found to be parked in a dangerous or unsafe manner. However, as this has been the first event of this type at this location, Council identified a number of learnings that will be applied to future events of this type at this location. Council parking officers conducted compliance patrols in Jackson Court Precinct as part of our standard approach to managing the safety during the major community events. During these patrols, officers did not identify any vehicles parked in a dangerous or unsafe manner, and therefore no parking infringement notices were issued at that location. Council acknowledges the majority of that major community events can cause some temporary inconvenience for nearby residents and will continue to work with event organisers to minimise the impacts and improve traffic and parking arrangements for future events. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart. 7.2, our next question is from Stella Yee. Stella, if you are in the gallery, would you please come to the lectern to ask your question? You have 2 minutes to make a brief statement to provide context to your question.
Good evening, Mayor, Councillors and CEO. At the 28th May 2024 Council meeting, Councillor Chen asked a question regarding tree canopy coverage in Manningham. The minutes record the following response. In addition to Manningham's street tree planting guide, we are also developing the Urban Forest Action Plan, as well as analyzing existing data on canopy cover in urban areas. Once we have completed the mapping exercise on canopy coverage and done the analysis, it is hoped we will be able to come back to Council with our findings later this year. That would be 2024. Since my query to Council in early February, I have received a couple of responses, including a recent media statement regarding the Urban Forest Plan and preliminary canopy analysis. I appreciate those updates. However, my specific questions about the formal response to Councillor Chen's May 2024 question remain unanswered. Could Council please confirm what information was formally provided to Councillor Chen in response to her May 2024 question, and whether a written response, report, or briefing was prepared? If such documentation exists, where can members of the public access it? Thank you.
Thank you, Stella. I will refer both these questions to Lachlan Johnson, Director of City Services.
Thank you, Stella, for your questions. As you outlined, a response was provided to the question raised by Councillor Chen at the Council meeting back in May 2024 by the Acting Director of City Services. As you outlined, that response is included in the minutes that are available on Council's website. I can advise that there's been no formal written response to those other matters that were outlined in the response. The mapping work that was referred to in the response has been incorporated into the preparation of the Urban Forest Plan that is currently being prepared. This is a key action identified in the Council Plan Action 5.2.1 in conjunction with the preparation of the Biodiversity Plan, previously referred to as the Nature Plan. We're very aware that there is considerable interest in this project in protecting and expanding Council's urban forest. These plans will be presented to Council in the middle of this year prior to undertaking community consultation, where we will seek the community's feedback ahead of them being adopted by Council later this year. Following the completion of that community consultation period, any feedback received will be reviewed and incorporated into both plans. The final version of the plans will be presented back to Council for endorsement with a public release of both the final Biodiversity Plan and Urban Forest Plan for Manningham made available on Council's website.
Thank you, Lachlan. Item number 8, admission of urgent business. There are no urgent items of business. Item number 9, planning permit applications. There are no planning permit applications requiring a decision of Council this month. Item number 10, city planning and livability. There are no city planning livability reports this month. And item number 11, connected communities. There are no connected community reports for this month. Item number 12, city services. The contract award for MP 001918, construction of the Aquarena Masterplan redevelopment.
Councillors, I wish to disclose that I have a general conflict of interest with this item, so I'll be leaving the chamber for the duration of the item. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Altaha. Thank you. Councillors, I will move this motion. Do I have a seconder?
I second the motion, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Diamante. Councillors, I read the recommendations point A and point B with the insertions. That A, the awards the tender for MP 001918, construction of Aquarena Masterplan redevelopment to Morkel Constructions Proprietary Limited for a total lump sum price of $971,014, excluding GST, for the core project scope exclusive tender options and provisional sums. And B, awards tender option 02, landscape work to the barbecue area to McCorkle Constructions for a lump sum price of $364,301, excluding GST. And the remainder of the insertions are as listed. So, councillors, Aquarena. The last time we moved the motion to do some redevelopment was when I was back on council in 2014. Indoor redevelopment. We're now looking at the outdoor redevelopment. And what a redevelopment. Manningham is only aquatic centre comprising of indoor and outdoor facilities, attracting over 1.4 million visitations annually from across the eastern region, including over 800,000 participant attendances. The development of this master plan involved extensive consultation to help determine the vision and the key priorities to encourage greater use, improving the cafe, enhance water play areas, further pool space for schools and clubs, which they really desperately need. Councillors, this is a great opportunity to make the pinnacle of our sporting complex the biggest pinnacle in Manningham again, and shine. A new 8-lane, 50-metre pool with ramp entry and swim wall, depth of 1.1 metres, formalised tier spectator seating area, like I said, a cafe with indoor and outdoor seating and lounge, a large family zone with the zero depth water plate and toddlers pool depth 40 centimetres. A new amenities block for change rooms for the students who come in from the schools and also from coming from all the schools outside the area and inside the area. Electric pool plant equipment with sustainable and reliable heat pump. Councillors, this is what we need. If we don't do this, we will see our pool in disarray, which we're currently seeing at the moment. Our tiles are falling. We're having our water having to be manually chlorinated. Councillors, this is an opportunity to make a difference in Manningham for all our sporting communities, for the health and wellbeing of all the community, to enjoy this pinnacle project. And I ask that you vote for this. Councillor Diamante.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just like your journey, I remember in 2023 when I was first the mayor, we began consultation for this, and I'm really excited about this because this is, as you said very well, it's a great opportunity for the Manningham community, and we had a huge response to our community consultation. I remember on a radio interview, I even had a caller saying, when's this going to happen, and make sure that you upgrade the change facilities near the outdoor pool. So there's a lot of support for this, and as you said, Mr Mayor, the upgrade of the cafe, indoor and outdoor dining areas, the enhanced water play for children, the pool space for schools and clubs and that tiered seating and the new amenities block, as well as enhancing the garden and park space were all requests of the community. Now, Mr Mayor, I do acknowledge this project comes with a high price tag, but I also note that this is a complex project on a really complex site, and absolutely councils must be financially responsible. We're caretakers of public funds. But as caretakers of public funds, we have a responsibility to spend that money on community services and on community assets. And Aquarena is one of those assets. It's, as you said, a facility loved by, 1.4 million visitors a year, and it's used by people across Manningham. In fact, I think it's one of the only outdoor pools between here and perhaps Heidelberg and perhaps here and out past Box Hill. So it is such an asset to Manningham, and it's such an asset to our schools, to the Doncaster Dolphins, that I really believe we have a responsibility to update it. And while some of our councillors may be concerned that we don't have a direct financial return on the investment of the project over many years, I would argue that this facility delivers many, many health and well-being benefits to our community, health and well-being benefits that align directly with our council plan. For people of all ages and all abilities, benefits that we might not be able to financially quantify, but that will absolutely deliver value to Manningham and deliver value to Manningham over many, many years well into the future. I commend this motion to the councillors. I commend the work of the officers in being able to find funding options for this that result in only very minimal changes to our 10-year financial program. We've been financially responsible, but we will continue delivering to all of Manningham. So I thank the officers for their work, and as I said, I commend this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Diamante. Do I have a mover against the motion?
I'd love to move against it. I'll speak against it instead.
Thank you. Councillor Condolence.
Thank you. As Councillor Diamante mentioned, this potentially, the Aquarena as a whole does deliver health and wellbeing benefits. The issue is about what is good public value, and I don't believe this represents anything like good public value. As the Mayor mentioned, we've had all these visitors to Aquarena. Aquarena is a big place, and most of the people come there just for the indoor facilities. In fact, around 85% is my understanding. It's just for the indoor facilities. And it's also for the water slides. We're not even touching the water slides in this proposal. So there's a lot of people who come in summer for the water slides. But what we're talking about here is a massive reduction in public value that has gone on through budget creep effectively since the start of the project, and now we are talking about another large chunk of increase in the budget. If I narrow that down, as the report mentions, it's $18.8 million over a 10-year period just for the lost return on investment that we could, if we just put the money in the bank. So this is the real cost. But it's not just for the next 10 years, it's for the next 20, so the next 30, 40, 50. It just keeps on going because we never ever get that back. And this is not about a financial return. We have to, as Councillor Diamante said, we have to invest the ratepayers' money for a good return of public benefit for their rates. But this in no way represents anything like good value. What does that figure break down to? That's $1.9 million per year. That is 1.7% of ratepayers' revenue. That is a massive cost. And what we're talking about, 1.7%, is not for a swimming pool. It's not for water slides. It's not for access to health and wellbeing benefits. It's for an extravagant, in my view, 50-metre Olympic pool, an outdoor pool, which, guess what? Most people don't build outdoor pools in Victoria anymore because I've worked out we live in the southern hemisphere, down below the tropic line, and it gets down cold in winter, and most people don't use it. In fact, our figures have confirmed that. Our most popular time of using the pool is in summer. So I'm going to foreshadow a motion to actually press pause, stop, rewind, go back to the start, and actually get some good public value out of this project. Because I actually do, I'm happy to support an outdoor pool, providing it is the right value. Right back at the start, we didn't even consider this, because I've been on this project for a long time. We did not seriously consider the option of going to a 25-metre pool. And the cost escalation that has gone from that very first conversation to now, most of the cost increases have been to do with the actual construction of the pool, including a significant amount of contingencies.
Councillor, that's time. Would you like extra
I would
time?
love an extension, please.
Can I have a move up, please? Councillor Chen, move the motion. Seconder. Councillor Lang to move the motion. Councillor, you have another 2 minutes. All those in favour? My apologies.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor, you have another 2 minutes.
Thank you. I will just move on to the option of 25-metre pool. We should really seriously stop, reset, and go back and have a look at a 25-metre pool, because that will significantly improve the value to ratepayers for this extraordinary amount of money. The other thing that we will miss, if we approve this motion as it is tonight, we will not be in any negotiating position for federal funding. Now, we've been asking for around $10 million for a number of years on this project. We've got nowhere. I believe we should stop right here and say, okay, we have a good project here. If the federal and state government want to help the ratepayers of Manningham out, or the voters of Manningham out, they should be putting in. When these were first done, way back for the Olympics, the Olympic pools, they were all funded, as I understand it, by the federal government, because they had some vision for getting people into the pool. So it is critical that if they want that infrastructure, they should contribute some sort of share. Most of our taxes is paid to the federal government. The next highest is the state government, then there's a tiny little bit to the ratepayers. I believe that we should be fighting hard, and I foreshadow a motion which all councillors have been provided with in terms of the detail, and I will be, I'll be love to talk to that further if we defeat this motion and we actually put a reasonable motion up that will give people value. It will give the opportunity to re-ask for the money from the federal government, and it won't. The effect on people will be very minimal. If we close the pool today, the outdoor slides still operate. The indoor pool, which 85% of people come for, still operate. In fact, there's plenty of outdoor pools that the people currently using the outdoor pool in the near vicinity can actually go to as well. So I would argue that this is very poor value. We should not be putting a noose around the ratepayer's neck of 1.7% of their ratepayers' money, which is a lot of money. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Do I have a speaker for the motion? Councillor Goff.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and I do speak in favour of the motion that comes up. This particular site, I don't think anyone else here goes to the opening of a swimming pool in Doncaster. I did. It was in the late 60s, I think it was. It was late 60s. And that was our swimming pool. There wasn't an indoor pool. There was the outdoor pool. And that was our pool. There was a diving pool. And that was fantastic. I remember catching the bus up Manningham Road, getting off, walking down the hill and going to that particular place. And I forget now, it might have cost me 40 or 50 cents to go in there to swim on an afternoon, which I absolutely loved. And it was a great place. That is Manningham's one and only swimming pool.
Councillor Condon, what's the point of order?
It's misleading. The outdoor pool is not the only swimming pool in Manningham. There is Aquarena.
I don't accept that point of order. Manningham City Council only has one swimming pool.
Okay, it's the whole complex there. Look, you're going to say the spa bath is a pool too, are you? Really, Mr Mayor, if those sorts of interruptions...
Councillor Goff, can you please stick to the point?
Well, I hope my time has stopped over.
It has.
As far as we're concerned in Manningham, that is the only complex that we have. You go to other municipalities, you'll find they have a number of swimming complexes in their areas, and that costs them probably 2 to 3 times as much. If you go to Yarra Ranges, I think you'll find they've got heaps of them in every little town, and that is absolutely a huge burden on them. But for the people, unlike some that live in lovely areas with acre properties or 5-acre properties and swimming pools, the people of Bulleen, the people of Doncaster, the people of West Doncaster don't necessarily have that luxury. There aren't all of those swimming pools in every second backyard. We are living in a high density area. If you're really rich, you can go down to the new one, which is a private affair on the golf links, but you'll have to pay $70 a week for a member there. So basically, the option for the great majority of people to access water, safety and water stuff, recreational play, everything is down at Aquarena. We've concentrated our efforts there. Now, since I've been a council the last 29 years, we have done upgrades and expansions to that centre. One of them early on was quite a major one, putting the gymnasium in there and everything else. But all of those were paid for with greater returns from the people that were running it. And we've made huge savings by letting that facility out and letting other people run it other than council. Because let me tell you, it would have cost us 1.5% more to run if it was run by council compared to run by outside organisations. And we've had returns from what we've put into that over the years, and we've expanded it. We've done piecemeal small expansions, and we've always come back on what we've actually wanted to do. Now, if anyone is a developer, you know time is your biggest expense, the most expensive thing. And when this was first put up, if we did it straight away, it was millions of dollars cheaper.
Councillor, that's time.
I need some
Would you
more
like an
time.
extension of time?
Thank you.
Can I have a mover, please?
I'll move for extension of time.
Thank you,
Mr.
Councillor
Mayor.
Lang. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Bain. Can we vote for the motion? All those in favour? That's approved. Councillor Goff, you have another 2 minutes.
Time is the biggest thing. And the reason is because building has gone up. The longer we leave doing anything on this property, the more it's going to cost us. It'll probably be about 7% or 8% more expensive next year. We work on a building index, not inflation, for building things. So whilst we've got pressure everywhere for building, concrete, steel, you name it, workers, the whole lot, we do it. The fact that we can do it now and do it all, it's better to do something properly than to half do something and come back to it later. And we've done that so many times. We haven't had the money, we can't do this. We've planned for financing it. We can finance it. I don't think we have to go to borrowings to build it. Unlike others that go to borrowings to borrow the $40 million to build their pool. We don't do that. And this gives all the people of Manningham in the major packed out, built up area which is suffering from the population densifying throughout it, we give them a place to recreate in. We give our youth a place to go to. And Mr. Mayor, our multicultural community are the biggest users of that. As I go down there, I see members from all over the world, from different backgrounds, at that pool, congregating, being together in Manningham on a facility that we provide for them. If we don't do this now, we're going to half do something, and then 5 years later we're going to have to spend just as, or more actually, doing the other half. So we'll probably spend exactly the same amount if we wait 10 years to do the second half of what we're going to do now. The best thing we can do, we've spent years getting this together, we've planned what we want to do, and at the end of the journey, some people want to sort of say, oh, you know, I think we can save money here.
That's time. Thank you, Councillor. Councillors, do we have anyone to speak against the motion? Councillor Chen.
Thank you, Mayor. I will speak against the motion from another angle, so I will present some sort of figures in my argument. And in 2025, the project cost raised to 29.9 million that was budgeted in our 2025-26 budget. It was raised from the initial 7.4 million estimated cost only back in 2022. And the recent panel's recommendation this year significantly exceeds Council's currently allocated budget of 29.9 million. I don't give anyone the figures, but it's significantly increased. So outdoor pools generally operate in deficit, particularly during cooler months. In the master plan, there was a 3-year financial projections based on commencement year of 2023-24 was prepared. It was expected that in 2025-26, The outdoor space net financial performance compared to the current components was only $26,000, around that figures. Given the huge variation between cost estimate and cost plan, the significant increase of the construction cost, and the panel's recommendations, and the small in the panel's recommendation, and the small net financial performance, we need to reevaluate the spending and the scope of the work, such as the wants versus the needs. You can see, everyone, please, if you have the time, review the Aquarena Outdoor Master Plan. You can tell there are needs and there are wants. So the report identified reputational risk for council due to the high level of community expectation. I will argue that any ordinary residents reside in Manningham who pay rates to Manningham Council will have a different opinion of the project because they include a nice-to-have items. And they would, once they know the real cost to council of the project, the financial impact to council, they will have a different opinion. When they provide those nice-to-have cafe, expanded cafe, amphitheater, and this kind of things, and the tiered spectators deck, they don't really know the real cost to them. And I don't never argue that there's a need for the swimming pool and the swimming facilities for communities. That is
Councillor,
a
that's
must.
time.
I need
Would you like an extension of time? Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Lang, moved it, and Councillor Conlon seconded. Can I put the motion? All in favour? Another 2 minutes, Councillor Chen.
Councillors, the primary and fundamental purpose of an aquatic centre is to provide swimming facilities. Upgrading aquatic centre to include extensive beyond swimming facilities is often considered risky and not recommended when our budgets are tight. Mind you that the government sets rate cap of 2.75% for the 2026-27 financial year. And mind you, councillors, the inflation recorded 3.8%. With inflation outpacing the revenue cap, council face significant pressure to deliver the same level of services, maintain infrastructure, and manage rising wage costs. We may be forced to look for efficiency, reduce spending on new initiatives, or delay capital works to manage the book. I urge councillors that until we are given all those necessary data and comprehensive business case on all options, including reducing the scope, it makes perfect sense to delay until we are confident the project is deliverable. At the moment, I have no confidence in delivering the project in accordance with the recommendation without another cost blowout. Thank you, councillors.
Thank you, Councillor Chen. Do we have a speaker for the motion? Councillor Mayne.
Thank you, Mayor. Aquarena is one of the jewels of Manningham. It's where Manningham residents learn to swim. It's where every swimming carnival is held. It's where so many of our residents exercise, and it's a vital part of so many Manningham residents' lives, including my own, my family, and so many of my friends, and so many residents who I speak to every day. And I'd like to mainly address Councillor Condolence' request to not invest in our outdoor pool at all, primarily focusing on indoor.
Point of order.
What's the point of order, Councillor Conlon?
I did not say we won't invest in the outdoor pool at all. My foreshadow motion indicated that we should stop and reset and have a look at the whole scope. And
Mr. Mayor,
Okay.
it's not a debate.
Councillors.
I've got a point of order on the answer of point of order. It's not a debate.
Okay.
You either accept it as a point of order or you don't.
Okay.
It's not a debate.
So, give me a moment. So, Councillor Goff, I don't accept your point of order. Councillor Conlon, I don't accept your point of order. Councillor Main, please go ahead.
Okay. The possibility of not investing in this project and letting our outdoor pool and our outdoor area simply rot away is something that would make me absolutely distraught as a councillor. The pool we currently have is not up to scratch. I visited multiple times this summer and observed the damage myself, and this is something that so many of my family and friends who use it all year round, yes, even in the coldest months of winter, also report back to me. The realities of the market is that the construction prices are very expensive, and the reality is this unfortunately is not going to change. And my ultimate fear is that we ignore this project or reduce the cost or like really scale it back. And then we visit this project again in 10 years' time where everything has once again broken down and it's so much more expensive. And the possibility of not having to close this pool and not having a wonderful outdoor space in Manningham is something that Manningham residents don't want and don't deserve. So I'm thoroughly supportive of this project and sincerely urge my other councillors to be in support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Main. Do I have a councillor against the motion? Do I have a councillor who would like to speak to the motion? Councillor Lang.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is quite difficult because there are so many good arguments for and against. And when it comes to ratepayers' money, we have a responsibility to use that strategically, financially sustainably, and for the community's benefit. Now, in saying that, I'm not arguing that the master plan doesn't do that. In fact, Aquarena isn't just a pool. Our community clearly told us so. It's an aquatic centre where families come, yes, to learn to swim, yes, to do laps in the outdoor pool for clubs, but actually a place to gather. In fact, to gather around water. Now, yes, some of us are maybe more privileged in Manningham to live closer to a natural water source called the Burra. But guess what? We love Aquarena too, and we use it to gather with others around water. Even the sound is just as beautiful as actually hopping in the water yourself. And extensive community engagement told us that these facilities are more than just a pool. They are a place where people recreate, come together, and it actually improves their health and well-being. And they didn't talk about wants and needs. They talked about the things that really matter to them. And that was a place to enhance the improved cafe functionality, to enhance the water play for all ages and abilities, and to then make a flexible swimming space where you've got the 50, but then you can reduce it to the 25 to fit more clubs in. Those were the things the community said that they wanted. So the master plan should deliver on those. It is our community's money, and we have a responsibility to spend it in a financially responsible way for the community's benefit. However, I admit that the price tag has increased, as things do day by day over time. So I'm a bit reluctant to pause it because I don't want the cost to go up anymore. But actually, Aquarena isn't just loved by everybody that lives in Manningham. Aquarena is loved by our whole eastern northern region.
Councillor, that's time. Would you like an extension of time? Councillor Goff to move. To have a seconder? Councillor Main is a seconder. All those in favour? That's carried. Another 2 minutes, Councillor Lang.
Thank you. So I actually think we should be seeking external funding, because I think our state government or our federal government, and regardless of what party and whether they've got money, I actually think these levels of government should be pitching in for aquatic centres that do all this for their constituents. So, councillors, I'm very torn. Because I actually think we should pause and stop and go hard and make our state members really stand up for their constituents and their aquatic centre. However, I'm scared. I'm scared because the price increases. I'm scared because de-scoping takes away what the community really wants. So I'm actually not sure. And I'll be honest. For me, leadership is about patience and strategy. And that's what I will be basing my decision on.
Thank you, Councillor Lang. Do I have any other speakers to the motion?
May I ask a question, please, Mr. Mayor?
Sorry, Councillor Connell, did you have a question?
I have a question.
Thank you. Councillor Connell, I'll give you the right because you had your hand up first. Sorry, Councillor D'Amato.
There's a number of councillors mentioned their fear of price going up. To that, I would like to ask through the CEO, through the Mayor, sorry, maybe the CEO, to the Director of Infrastructure, sorry, Lachlan. On Friday, I was in a meeting and I asked this exact question. So could I just confer with Lachlan the conversation around CPI and construction? So there is a natural fear because everyone's thinking that, I had this natural fear that the price of everything goes
Councillor
up.
What is your question to Lachlan?
Could you concur that over in the long term, the consultant in that phone call with you concurred that in the long term, actually construction costs follow CPI. They don't exceed it, they average it out. So this fear is unfounded about, the cost will escalate out of control.
Lachlan, can you please answer the question? Refer the question to you. My apologies.
Through you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Condolence, for your question. Yes, so there was a historical alignment, so that we're talking about over the last few decades that whilst there have been increases, significant increases, particularly over the last few years, beyond CPI for construction, that over the longer term, CPI and the construction price index do track closely. We were talking as well about the particular market forces at play for this unique type of construction.
Yeah, I'm just.
Thank you, Councillor. This is not a debate with the officer. It's a debate. It's a question that you've asked, and he's answering that question.
I believe he has answered.
Councillor, it's not a debate. You've had your opportunity, and it's to listen to the question. The question is being answered by the officer. Can you please let him finish that answer?
Through you, Mayor, I was going to say that, so as I said before, that over the past few decades, there has been a closer alignment between CPI and the building price index, or the cost of construction increase. Obviously, for particular trades and specialties, they are more subject to local price demand. And as we discussed, there's some components of this project that are quite unique. So, that generalised alignment between CPI and the cost of construction increasing may not hold true for every single specific trade. But in general, across construction, yes, you're correct to say that they do closely align.
Thank you. Councillor D'Amato, you had a question.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And again, through you to the CEO, just noting Councillor Lang's comments and also Councillor Conlon's comments about the need for federal and state funding, particularly given that this is a pool that's not just used by Manninghamites, it's a pool used by people across this northeast region and schools as well. It's an asset for schools as well. I'm presuming, my question is, there's nothing in this motion that precludes us from continuing to advocate to the state and federal government for funding for Aquarena?
There is nothing in that motion that precludes it, and it's in our advocacy strategy, Councillor.
Thank you, CEO.
Thank you, Councillor D'Amato. I'll ask the question again. Are there any Councillor Conlon, you have another question?
For Councillor Diamante's question, my understanding from our discussions at SBS that on that particular issue is that we have a significantly reduced bargaining power by proceeding as it is.
Councillor Condon, what's the question?
Could you confirm that is the discussions we've had?
I won't go into the detailed discussions that we've had at SBS's, but the reality is it's an incredibly challenging environment to get grant funding for pools. I would say we've spoken about that. Absolutely challenging because there are a lot of municipalities in a similar situation to us with degrading pools and seeking federal and state government funding.
Okay, Councillor Lang, do you have a question?
Could I please ask a question, Mr Mayor? Through you, Mr Mayor, and through the CEO, what capital works or infrastructure projects might be implicated or impacted by the price escalation of this contract?
Just for some clarification, are you talking about other projects or the elements of this project?
No, Councillor Chen mentioned in terms of the price escalation and being able to award this contract tonight, that, and somebody mentioned we weren't doing borrowings, but that we were going to take it through our capital works. Could I know what the impact of that is, please?
I'll refer that question to the Director of City Services, Lachlan Johnson. Thank you, Lachlan.
Through you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor, for your question. So as the report outlines, it's intended that Council draw upon the strategic fund if required, so the additional funds to match the shortfall between the awarded amount, the project amount, and what's in Council's 10-year financial plan. And as Part G of the resolution outlines, it's intended to pay back that money over the next 10 years up to, over the years up to 2032 to 2033. So it's difficult to answer your question specifically about which projects could be impacted, but in general, we're forecasting that if required to draw upon the strategic fund, that would not happen next financial year, which we're currently going through the process of developing the capital works program for next year. If we had to draw upon that strategic fund, it would likely occur in the following financial year, so in 27-28, we would then commence paying back. So an element of the capital works program from that year would be allocated to replenish the strategic reserve and not be used to deliver projects. But at this stage, it's not possible to identify what would necessarily be impacted. What I would say is that in working with councillors, we've developed a replenishment strategy there that we think is reasonable. It can be delivered with minimal impact to the capital program by looking to pay back over that period up to 2032-33.
Thank you, Lachlan. I will now put the motion.
Sorry, I've got a question.
Councillor Collins, your question.
Thank you. Given there's, some people have mentioned the fear of the time it would take to reset, we pause, reset. Could I just get the officer's opinion on, given all the good work that has been done up to this point, if we were to stop, reset, and re-tender, rescope?
Councillor Collins, I'll pull you up on that one. You're asking for an opinion as opposed to a question. Can you please ask a question to the officers?
Okay. Could you have an estimate of how long it would take to get back to this point in terms of, I imagine it's 12 months, but to get to this point in terms of going out to tender again on a rehash of this?
Yeah, look, that is a challenging one to answer, because obviously part of that would also be going back and talking to community as well in terms of any redesign concept, because we went through quite a comprehensive process. Obviously, we started this back in somewhere like March 2023. So by the time we go back to community, seek community's input and, if you like, work through a similar process that we did this time around, we are certainly talking well over 18 months to 2 years to get back to this point.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Collins. I will now put the motion. All those in favour of the motion? Councillor Diamante, Councillor Mayne, Councillor Lang, Councillor Goff and Councillor Grievous. Those against the motion? Councillor Bain, Councillor Conlon, Councillor Chen. That motion has been moved. Has been carried. Sorry, my apologies. Has been carried. 12.2. And we'll get Councillor Tarkering back in. Thank you, councillors. We'll move on to item 12.2. December 2025 Capital Works Status Report. Do I have a mover? Councillor Chen.
Thank you, Mayor. My apology, because I'm still considered the last agenda. And I move that the recommendation be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Chen. Do I have a seconder?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Lane. Councillor Chen, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, I do. Thank you. And the purpose of the report is to provide a monthly update on the progress of our capital program in December. As of 31st December 2025, $16.34 million capital infrastructure expenditure was recorded, equated to 32% of the capital infrastructure budget. There were 206 projects initially listed in the adopted budget. Additional 21 projects were added to the projects list to refine and align with our strategic priorities and operational requirement. 22 projects were completed, representing 12% of the total. 123 projects were on track, accounting to 68%. The remaining projects are either yet to commence, on hold, or behind schedule, or deferred. The progress of the Capital Work Program is constantly monitored by the Infrastructure Project Management Office and reported regularly to the Executive Management Team. A copy of the Capital Works Program Status Report year to December 31st of 2025, it seems a long time ago, is attached to the agenda. It is a comprehensive document including each service unit performance on their financial performance and delivery performance. The report also includes Capital Works performance by program, project updates, and Capital Works program development updates. Before I conclude, I would like to make a special mention of the new shelters installed at Donvale Reserve Shelter and Serpos Reserve. They have been well received by the local communities. The new shelters provided crucial relief from harsh sun and rain, allowing for comfortable year-round use of the space. Shelters not only offer shelter for players, coaches, and spectators during games, they encourage longer visits, provide a community gathering point as well. This is a good example, councillors, that small community projects often create high value by building social capital, improving well-being, and promoting safety with minimum resources. We don't have to spend big to make our community safe and inclusive. So the status report is presented for noting, and I recommend it and encourage residents to read the report at their leisure, and you will know how your ratepayers' money spent on those even very little minor projects.
Thank you, Councillor Chen. Councillor Lane.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Chen's done a thorough overview of it. I just wanted to mention that really what this report reflected was the scale of our infrastructure works program and the discipline and professionalism used to be able to manage that. If you go in terms of looking at the 227 projects and, you know, whether they're on track or on hold or there's been brought forward, it's all about responsibly managing our ratepayers' money to be able to put into our capital works and be able to deliver. So I think we need to acknowledge the officers and the directorates involved. I think we also need to feel a sense of, well, for me, it's a bit of confidence that if I look at the 10-year pipeline, I look at something like $812 million worth of works. And so we need robust processes that responsibly manage that and ensure that then that is delivered. And that's what you can see here in this report. So I'd just like to say that encourage fellow councillors to endorse the report, but also note that it's about financial stewardship and putting words into action to deliver for our community.
Thank you, Councillor Lang. Are there any other councillors wanting to speak to the motion? I will put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item 13, experience and capability. 13.1, Manningham Quarterly Report, Quarter 2 for December 2025. Do I have a mover? Councillor Goff. Thank you, Councillor Goff. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Condolence. Councillor Goff, would you like to speak to the motion?
Wrong one. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very good. I suppose it's the second lot of this new format that I've actually seen. I must admit, on the other format, I did like the one pager, because, you know, I can understand one page, but when I have to turn a page, I forget what was on the original page. But anyway, listen, it's all very, very good. And in this report really outlines how we're going as a council and what is actually happening. I'm just going to focus on a couple of things. And, you know, remember, we're talking about the period from July to December. Yeah, January, February, March to December. So we're a couple of months further on than here. But you know, half a year's gone. We've expended probably 30% or 40% of capital works, and that's quite good. And you can't spend 50% of it, because if you haven't voted in the budget and everything else, you can't spend it. And so it takes a while to actually get things up and going. And I'm sure, just like every other one, it will finish off with a flourish in the end, and we'll reach that 95, 96. I noticed that the graph didn't go all the way to 100%. So I assume that you're already forecasting a shortcoming, or it might be a typographical error in your graph. But just get that graph to go to 100% at the end. It goes to about 96 or 97 or something there on it. That's one of the graphs in it. But important to note here that, you know, big spends that we do have, you know, like so far the capital infrastructure projects, and that's expected. But the other money that is probably not celebrated as much everywhere, but is probably most important, is the 12.69 million spent on infrastructure maintenance. And we not only do we have to build things, we have to maintain them. And yeah, so, and it gets their income in that there. I do note though, councillors, that if I read through that section 3 and the summary of section 3 here with looking at our budget, whether we're going to need to have a mid-term budget review, I think at the moment we're on trackish, and the CEO is recommending that we don't do that this year. However, I am sure, and I might ask the question later, I'll put it in my speech, but I'm sure that he will say that if we do have something that's not going to come to fruition in the end, we could supplement it by another program that needs funding with that money that we can't spend this year, because it is important that we spend as much of the money that we've allocated to capital works that we go. So with that, I will leave something for Councillor Lang. Oh no, sorry, Councillor Condolence to talk about.
Thank you, Councillor Goff. Councillor Condolence.
Thank you. Yeah. I guess for me the highlight was just looking at the telephony analysis in the summary here. It does note that only 44% of calls were answered within 1 minute, and the target was 77%. 70%. But if you look at the overall customer experience, it's great to see our promoter score being plus 37, which I think is quite significant. I know these scores are hard to shift. So our contact centre was rated 4.8 out of 5, I think, and overall satisfaction 4.5 out of 5. So it is great to see our customer service team improving, and I know from feedback that I get often, there's a lot less complaints about the customer service and a lot more, gee, they were really good. So I just wanted to pass that on. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Conlon. Are there any councillors who wish to speak to the motion? I will put that motion. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Item 13.2, Draft State and Federal Elections Councillor Candidature Policy.
Councillors, I wish to disclose that I have a general conflict of interest with this item as I'm a candidate for Liberal Party pre-selection leading up to the state elections this year, so I'll be leaving the chamber for this item.
Thank you, Councillor Diamante. Thank you, councillors. Do I have a mover for the motion? Councillor Lang.
I move that the recommendation be adopted.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Conlon. Councillor Lang, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. I enjoyed reading this motion and also bringing it forth as mover because it's fundamentally about good governance and transparency, which creates public trust, and that's something that is really important to me. Councillors, we're all entitled to pursue whatever it is we want to pursue in life, and if higher office is something that is of a desire, then I don't believe we should stand in the way. I do believe that that is our democratic right, and it is part of being democratically participating and representing. So if a councillor chooses to stand for higher office, then that is desirable for them, then that's fine. But it can create this real or perceived conflict of interest. And I think that is what this is all about, to really provide clarity. And the report does. It talks about clear notification requirements. It talks about transparency, about formal declarations, as we've heard this evening. It talks about nominated candidates having to take leave of absence. It talks about not using community events or a public forum like the chambers on the issues or for the campaigning purposes. And so it really helps clear a separation between council resources and council decision making and political campaigning. It goes the step further to with the recommendation that councillors forgo their allowance in that time, so that ratepayers are really clear that their money's not being used for somebody's political desires. And so I think our community should be really aware that this whole report is not a requirement, but is about us and our commitment to good governance, making sure that we clearly articulate and separate our responsibilities so that we can show that we are we have good integrity in our decision making, but we also have clear boundaries in our governance. So I recommend this policy to my fellow councillors.
Thank you, Councillor Lang. Councillor Conlon, would you like to speak to the motion?
Nothing further to add, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to the motion? I'll put that motion. All in favour? That's carried unanimously. And we'll get Councillor Diamante back into the room. Welcome back, Councillor Diamante. Item 13.3, change of June 2026 council meeting date. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Lang.
That the recommendation be adopted, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
I second the motion.
Councillor Main. Councillor Lang, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I do acknowledge that this probably doesn't need to be spoken to because it is a straightforward administration matter, but there probably is a hidden agenda in my speaking to it, because I do note that the change of date is very important so that all local governments areas can attend the Australian Local Government Association. I do note that our dates for our forward agenda were published before those dates were made. So once we found out the Australian Local Government Association's date for their General Assembly, which is from the 23rd to the 25th of June, when we were going to be having our June Council meeting, then from administration we needed to change that date. And therefore the proposal is to reschedule that on Tuesday the 30th of June, being my birthday. So if I'm happy for us to meet together in a June Council meeting on my birthday, then I'm sure my fellow councillors can be happy to change the date to allow us all to attend the General Assembly conference with all of our local government partners and meet together.
Thank you, Councillor Lang. Councillor Main, would you like to speak to the motion? Thank you. Does anyone else any other councillor like to speak to the motion? I will put that motion. All in favour? That's carried unanimously. Item 13.4, informal meeting of councillors. Do I have a mover?
I'd like to move the motion.
Thank you, Councillor El Taha. Do I have a seconder?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Main. Councillor El Taha, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Mayor, and I'm happy to report on this item, which has become my regular beat. Given this is our first meeting back post the summer break, there haven't really been many informal meetings to report on, just primarily councillor briefings by officers. I'm sure the update will be more fulsome at next month's council meeting. Thank you.
Councillor El Taha. Councillor Main.
No, thank you. I think Councillor El Taha summarised it well.
Thank you. Are there any other councillors to speak to the motion? I'll put that motion. All in favour? And that's carried unanimously. Item 13.5, documents for sealing. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Diamante.
I move that recommendation be adopted.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Goff. Councillor Diamante, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Goff, would you like to speak to the motion? Are there any other councillors who would like to speak to the motion? I will put that motion. All in favour? And that's carried unanimously. Item number 14, Chief Executive Officer. There are no Chief Executive Officer reports tonight, so we'll move on. Item 15, urgent business. There are no urgent business. Item 16, councillor reports and question time. Councillors, would anyone like to provide a report or raise a question? Councillor Goff.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I do rise to actually ask a question to the CEO in the office, and the reply doesn't have to be today, but reading and what's happening lately is state government imposing land tax on council land that is not earning any money or is held in council. We've got lots of blocks of land in Manningham, but it's hitting the fan at the moment, and I'm just wanting to have an understanding at the amount of land tax that we will be liable for, and the very fact that we have a situation that we're paying land tax on public land is a real hard anomaly to come to grips with, especially seeing that in Wyndham, I think it was, they're being taxed for a kindergarten being on their land and it's not earning money. In nature strips being taxed for land tax, parks. So this is a real issue. The state government and the state revenue office is becoming extremely greedy in wanting. No one ever heard about the state revenue office 20 years ago. Now everyone absolutely knows about it, and it's really putting us. So in that regard, I'd like to get a report back to council with the status of those sorts of taxes that are going to be applied to people, because we're going to have to pay for those things by rates. And the second thing is, if we can also research then charging, if we've got the land, we may as well start charging infrastructure, water boards, sewerage, electricity, anyone that uses our nature strips to run their facilities through. We want that sort of charge. So we can have an investigation on starting to charge for those things to repay these sorts of figures that the state government are wanting to get in us, because they are semi-government authorities.
Thank you, Councillor Goff. I'll refer that to Andrew Day, CEO.
Thank you for the question, and we'll take that as a broad question and a request for some information, Councillor. So we'll certainly provide you with information on the tax imposts, particularly as it relates to land and windfall gains tax and the like as well, from our perspective. Land tax and capital gains. We'll certainly provide you with some detail on the implications for council.
Thank you. Councillor Chen, you had a question?
Mayor, I have a question and I have a report to make. Thank you.
Thank you.
The report is on Saturday, 7th of February. Jackson Court Shopping Centre Precinct held a Chinese New Year festival to celebrate the Year of the Horse. The festival brought together residents, businesses, and visitors for a joyful and memorial day. I was so touched to see many older couples, intergenerational families, all abilities who came out to celebrate the vibrant New Year festival. In the evening, more younger people gathered in groups. They are not making any trouble. They gather to celebrate, to connect with culture, with music, with food in a safe, very safe environment. Fireworks were a massive success, which drew a massive crowd to and around Doncaster Reserve. A big thank you to Asian Business Association Whitehorse, Jackson Court Traders Association, and our staff, and Vanessa, Andy, and the team who organized brought to Manningham a joyful and unforgettable festival. My question following: Better bus services in Manningham was endorsed as one of Council's strategic advocacy priorities at the October 2025 Council meeting. Department of Transport and Planning conducted Northeast Bus Network review that include Manningham and a pilot projects proposed by the DTP. Council recently sent a letter to the Minister for Transport Infrastructure, jointly signed by mayors of Boroondara, Benue, Whitehorse, and City of Yarra regarding the Northeast pilot projects funded in the next state budget. Leading to the November state election, what is the advocacy plan for better bus services, and how we include the community to strengthen our case when lobbying the state and federal government for funding and perhaps policy changes? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chen. I'll refer that to our CEO, Andrew Day.
I might refer that one on to our acting director.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Chen. Since the formal endorsement of the Council's 5 advocacy priorities in October 2025, there has been significant work across the integrated transport and communications engagement teams to develop a better bus service communications and engagement plan, which outlines the actions and timeline of a campaign leading up to the 2026 state election. Actions undertaken to date include updates to the Better Bus advocacy fact sheets, development and planning of a community survey to be launched in April, including workshopping a draft list of questions with the Community Advisory Committee, continuing engagement with our advisory committees, preparing summaries for key transport advocacy groups, including Metropolitan Transport Forum, leading, preparing and circulating an advocacy letter co-signed by the mayors of several councils, which you already mentioned. Also, the ongoing meetings with the bus planning team from the Department of Transport and Planning. We plan to engage directly with the community throughout 2026, including via Community Your Say survey, advisory committees engagement, our social media channels, Manningham Matters, and the engagement with identified transport groups. A key part of the campaign focused on building a profile of buses in our community to encourage greater patronage.
Thank you. Councillor El Tahar.
Thank you, Mayor. So, I wanted to take a moment tonight actually to just acknowledge the various cultural and religious celebrations underway for our residents. Many in our community are observing either Lent or Ramadan, and I wish them a blessed season. There are also many who are celebrating the Chinese New Year festivities, and my children today got to enjoy a vibrant line dance at their school this afternoon despite all the thunderstorms. The ability for us to enjoy and acknowledge each other's customs, festivities and traditions within the broader community is a testament to the multicultural municipality we live in. I also wanted to flag that it's Clean Up Australia Day this Sunday, and Council will be conducting litter collections at Ruffy Lake Park with a barbecue lunch provided from 12:30 p.m, and their website's got more details. I look forward to seeing members of the community there. So thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Taha. Do we have any other councillors? Councillor Diamante?
Thank you, Mayor. I've got two questions, and again, they relate to our advocacy priorities. The first one is our glass advocacy, and I'm really excited that Manningham is continuing to push our glass advocacy and the mandated purple bin, and that other councils are joining this. I'd love to get an update through you, Mayor, from the CEO on this advocacy and the number of councils that have joined.
Thank you, Councillor Diamante. Mr. CEO.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor, and you do rightly point out that there is a lot of advocacy happening presently in that space. I think the City of Wyndham made the media today in relation to their concerns around the purple bin rollout. There is a group of around 35 councils that are coming together just to outline to the state government general concerns around the rollout of the purple bin, everything from a lack of business case in behind it, and so value for money from a community perspective, right through to the challenges of doing it in a whole range of different environments, from built-up areas like we're here in Doncaster, right through to our areas like Warrandyte and Wonga Park. So there's a request to really consider also a more flexible approach, and also to really seriously look at the success of the container deposit scheme, and looking at expanding the container deposit scheme. So there is a group of us coming together to advocate on behalf of our communities about a different approach, and we'll be certainly ramping that up over the next few months, and we're taking a lead role here at Manningham.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.
And my second question relates to the North East Link independent environmental audit results, and this is another key part of our advocacy. I note that the results were released November 2025, but I also note that they were for the period November 2024 to April 2025. And we continue to advocate for these results to be released earlier. I do not think it's good enough that our residents have to wait up to 12 months to understand the environmental impacts and air quality impacts. Even 5 months, but 12 months, like November 2024. I would love to know whether we have had any progress for both Spark with the central package and also BTA with the southern package on getting better real-time data to reassure our residents.
I'll refer that again to our CEO, Andrew Day.
The short answer is no. We've obviously continued to advise that that's Council's advocacy position, that we are looking to get that real-time data, and obviously the issue is not just in relation to the current construction, but also post-construction monitoring, as well across those domains of air quality and noise particularly. So we'll continue to do that on Council's behalf.
Thank you, Andrew. Any other questions? Yes, or reports? Councillor Bain.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got two questions for the CEO on the subject of modern-day slavery, which I'll preface with the following remarks. While we may think that slavery is an historic injustice, the reality is that it persists today in many forms: forced labour, debt bondage, illegal sex trafficking, and exploitation within global supply chains. It is estimated that millions of people worldwide are trapped in conditions of modern slavery, including women and children who are disproportionately affected. As we approach International Women's Day, it is particularly important to acknowledge that women and girls make up the majority of those exploited through illegal sex trafficking and forced labour. These crimes are not distant problems confined to other countries. They exist within advanced economies, including Australia, and often intersect with local communities through hidden networks of exploitation. Local government is not removed from this issue. Councils engage in extensive procurement processes, contracts with suppliers, and deliver services through complex supply chains. That creates both risk and responsibility. We must ensure that our purchasing power is not inadvertently supporting exploitative labour practices, either domestically or overseas. Beyond procurement, councils also play a role in community education, partnerships with law enforcement, support for vulnerable populations and advocacy for ethical standards. As leaders within our municipality, we have a moral obligation to ensure our processes actively prevent exploitation and reflect our community's values of dignity, safety and equality. Modern slavery is not only a human rights issue, it's a governance issue. Transparency, due diligence and accountability are essential. Andrew, my questions are as follows. Through our procurement policies and supplier contracts, how is Manningham Council identifying and mitigating risks of modern slavery within its supply chains? And I'll ask the second questions as well. In relation to illegal sex trafficking and exploitation that may exist within our municipality, what partnerships or referral pathways does Council maintain with relevant authorities and community organisations?
Thank you. Refer that to CEO Andrew Day.
Look, thank you for the questions and for raising this important matter, Councillor Bain. In relation to procurement, as you'd be aware, we have a robust procurement policy, and indeed one that is up for review in the not too distant future. So we'll be able to engage councillors in that policy and whether the settings are right in terms of the strength that we place on a range of different social procurement issues, particularly as it relates to modern slavery. It's certainly a part of our policy. It is a challenging one to identify. It's one that where we rely heavily on state and federal information as well to assist us in that space. It's certainly an area that is considered a part of our procurement practices, but I would say that like most organisations, we've got some maturity to do in that space and some learning to do in that space. I'm pleased that it is part of the existing policy, and we certainly look forward to the conversation with Council to talk about how we can continue to strengthen both the policy but also our practice in that space, so we are well and truly aware of that. In terms of locally, as you rightly point out, it is a multi-pronged effort that is required in this space. It's not something that is regularly brought, certainly to my attention, and not raised regularly at our community safety meetings, certainly not at all. And I think one of the challenges, again, is it's a very complex space to identify and deal with. We have very, very strong relationships with our community service providers who work closely with vulnerable families in our community, Doncare, Each, Access Health and the like, and we'll continue to have those conversations with them, and obviously a very, very strong relationship here locally with police as well. Again, it's not something that is on our radar regularly, but certainly something that if we did become aware of it, is something we would work with in the first instance enforcement agencies and support them in protecting vulnerable people. So thank you for the question, Councillor.
Thank you, Andrew. Do we have any other councillors with a report or with questions? Councillor Lang.
Thank you. I just wanted to let councillors know that this Sunday the Mayor and I will be attending Run Warrandyte. So I hope the Mayor is ready with sneakers to go up and down the hills of our semi-rural
I am as a professional
terrain.
spectator.
And I also note that last night I was at the Manningham SES, so Victoria Emergency Services new truck delivery, cutting the ribbon, servicing our community. And of course, they are getting ready for the storms that we were forecasted to have today. So my question is, with these recent storms, through you, Mayor, to the CEO and then to directors, with the recent storms, how have our stormwater drains held up? And to what extent is the clean-up throughout the municipality?
Thank you. I'll refer that to Andrew Day. CEO,
I will definitely refer that on to someone with greater expertise, the Director of City Services.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Lang, for your question. So I can confirm that Since the heavy rain on the weekend and obviously the very heavy rain this afternoon, council's received 82 requests for investigations or for blocked pits and pipes. That is more than we would normally receive. I know that the crew was out there today attending to some of those urgent requests, but I'm sure as councillors and the community will appreciate, it will take us some time to get through those. Council operates a surge service here, so we have an internal crew who can undertake regular cleaning works, and when incidents like happened today occur, we draw upon the expertise of the market to be able to supplement that to respond to community's requests.
Thank you. Any other councillors with a report or questions? If not, I have a question for councillors. Are you all aware that on the 2nd of March 2026, we have International Women's Day, where we are going to have our guest speaker, Yelena Dokic, who will also be sitting with her, alongside her is Inspector Carly Kowa from the Victoria Police and Kylie Squiller, Chief Executive Officers. If you haven't got your tickets, please register online, and we'd love to see you there for International Women's Day. Are there any other questions or reports, councillors? No? Okay, I will move on. Item number 17, confidential reports. Councillors, we have one confidential report tonight. Can I have a motion to close the meeting to the public and to consider this confidential matter? Do I have a mover?
Yes, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Bain.
I move that council close the meeting to the public pursuant to section 66(1) and 66(2)(a) of the Local Government Act 2020 to consider the following items. Item 17.1, Strategic Property Portfolio 300 to 304A Blackburn Road, Doncaster East.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Lang. Thank you. Can I put the motion? All in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. We will now be closing this meeting to the members of the public and end the live stream to consider this confidential report. Thank you for joining the meeting this evening.